Welcome back to Com 101. This week we are talking about sport washing, what it is, and why it matters. I am a big sports fan. I play sports, I've worked in sports media, I watch sports. Okay, so what is sports washing? Sports washing is the use of an athletic event by an individual or a government, a corporation, or another group to promote or burnish the individual or group's reputation, especially amid controversy or scandal. So, we all know why we're talking about this, but some recent examples of sport washing. The 2014 Sochi Olympics, Putin's then pet project. Russia had and still has, under Putin, an appalling human rights record. The mayor of Sochi at the time, a member of Putin's party, said that there were no gay people in the city. Putin went on to defend the anti-gay laws in Russia at the time, while still having his own people locked up for displaying pride flags when the Olympic torch was coming through their town. His regime also arrested members of the band Pussy Riot during the Olympics for participating in protests. And on top of everything else, the accommodations for athletes, visiting supporters, and press were just well below the standards that should ever been allowable for an Olympic village. Not to mention the fact that Sochi was a Soviet-era summertime resort and never an appropriate locale for the Winter Olympics. While climate change absolutely impacted temperatures and made 2014 the warmest Winter Olympics on record, the IOC, for numerous reasons, should have never allowed Putin's pet project to have happened. Saudi Arabia and Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 plan includes, but was not limited to, $1.3 trillion with a T dollar investment from the Saudi Public Investment Fund to buy the English Premier League team Newcastle United in an attempt to use a very popular, devoted fan base to sweep Saudi Arabia's terrible human rights record under the rug. Another part of this endeavor has been the much maligned or much celebrated, depending on who you are speaking to, Live Golf program. The Saudi-owned, now competitor to the PGA Tour. It used large financial guarantees to lure pro golfers like Bubba Watson and Phil Mickelson into its corner and away from the PGA Tour. If you talk to them, it's a great new opportunity for golf. Watson even praised their efforts to support women's golf. He somehow, I guess, missed the fact that Saudi women had only won the right to live alone without male guardianship the previous summer when he said that in 2022. And Phil Mickelson, well, he was spearheading the PR campaign essentially for Live Golf, and maybe it was because of his gambling debts, and maybe it was because he wasn't as popular in the PGA world as he once was, or maybe it was because he seems like a guy that likes to stir some shit. But he did, in no uncertain terms, call the Saudis scary motherfucker in an interview with Alan Shipnuck back in 2022. He then almost immediately apologized, likely because his new overlords are, in fact, scary motherfuckers. FIFA repeatedly chooses host nations with horrible human rights violations. They also have a long and storied history of taking bribes. In 2015, 9 FIFA officials and 5 associates were indicted for racketeering and bribery. More than 24 were originally implicated in the 24-year long scheme that saw bribes being taken in connection to the hosting rights for World Cups in both 2018 and 2022, Russia and Qatar, respectively. Officials received over $150 million in bribes over a 24-year period. Qatar had been announced as the World Cup host in 2010, which shocked the world, frankly. Another country with a less than stellar, to put it mildly, human rights record. Additionally, Qatar was not really a country with a strong football tradition. It had a limited infrastructure, and it was hot in the summer. This actually caused the organization to rearrange the entire sporting schedule for the 2022 season. So imagine moving the Super Bowl to July because, for reasons surpassing understanding, it was being held in New Zealand, and thus shifting pretty much all of the other NFL games because you chose to have the Super Bowl in New Zealand. Not to mention, in the 10 years leading up to the World Cup, Amnesty International estimates that 6,500 migrant workers died working on building the infrastructure for the event. Minky Warden, the director of global initiatives at Human Rights Watch, called Qatar's World Cup the deadliest major sporting event possibly ever in history. And now, just the other day, FIFA came to town here in the U.S. to conduct the 2026 World Cup draw, and instead of staying in their lane, which is what MAGA says anytime an athlete or musician or actor dares to express a public opinion that is in opposition to MAGA's beliefs, FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who happens to be a big Trump ally, created a new prize. We all know that President Trump has been openly campaigning for the Nobel Peace Prize and is real mad that he hasn't gotten one. So in true participation trophy fashion, FIFA made up their own. The FIFA Peace Prize. After being given the award, President Trump thanked everyone and said, "The world is a safer place now." I'm not personally sure for whom he thinks it's safer, but sure. Now, because I am a snarky bitch, I've told Winchester here that I also won an award. He agrees with me emphatically. And so he has decided to give me the Best Human of Dog award. He lacks thumbs, so I shall put it on myself. Thank you so much for this Best Human of Dog award. He has so many skills. He made this just for me. Thank you, Winchester, for this great honor. No, we won't be taking any questions at this time. Thank you. Thank you. Why does this all matter? Because sports matter. Much like art, sport is a lens through which we can view our society, both locally and globally. The people you meet at the ballpark, the culture that defines various sporting events, great things can come from sport. The people you meet playing sports become lifelong friends, and the field of play is a level ground. Sport matters because it's a place where we can come together and be reminded of our shared humanity. This is not to say that you shouldn't watch, participate in, and support. God knows I'm not going to stop loving my teams. All this is to say that you should be conscious of what goes on and be able to separate our love of a team or of a game from what might be happening from the humans around the world that are shaping our ability to participate in that love. Catch you next time on Com 101. And please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and recommend.